You can get ahead. You know what I mean? He flunked math. That's all? No, not you. I'm talking.
All right, looks like thumbs up in the back. So, Coach, whenever you're ready.
Yeah. How we doing, gentlemen? Good. Keep going, getting into the true, I say, days of camp. You're starting to get numbers of practices, the physicality of the practices, the guys banged up, fighting through things, fighting through the nicks, knacks, sores, bruises, all that good stuff. But we're getting there, making progress. Again, the young guys keep progressing, and like I say, in different levels. But I love their fortitude as far as staying involved with what we're doing, how we're doing it. Have great attitudes. Older guys, some of the, like I say, the leadership's been emerging. And getting some guys back healthy after got nicked up early. Like I said, they're getting back into practice now, which is helping. Scrimmage went well last Saturday. Was pleased with a lot of things, but inconsistent in a lot of things. Got always look for more consistency. Always look for the technical aspects. You know, I always say alignments, assignments, techniques, and just making sure we're dotting I's, crossing T's, and the base things before we move on. From a penalty standpoint, I think we played pretty disciplined in the group. Had a couple our young guys grabbing and holding in some situations, offensively and defensively. But those guys will learn, I think, as they learn their technique and their assignments better, their feet will be in better position. The older guys did a pretty good job of those things. Both sides made plays in the scrimmage. It was very competitive. It got physical with some really good hits in the scrimmage. There was plays made on offense, plays made on defense. So it was a typical first scrimmage. But like I say, the thing you want is more consistency in what you're trying to do. Our kicking game seems to be pretty solid right now. I like the way our punter and our kicker are both, all of them, not just the starters are kicking. Our snappers are doing a good job. But, you know, typical camp right now. We're finding out a lot of where we want to be, how we want to be, and getting consistent with some of the young guys, what their capabilities are, what their learning capabilities are, as far as not that they're not smart, but what they've been exposed to and what you allow them to, how quickly or slowly you bring them along to put them in position to be successful. But all their athletic abilities are all going to be really good players and where we're going, in my opinion. So depth, I think both fronts were physical in the scrimmage, offensively and defensively. I think are making plays on the ball and our ball skills on offense and defense. I say judging the ball, how you play it in the secondary, not always intercepting it, but getting your body in position to make a play on the ball, understanding leverage, those things. And offensive guys making contested plays, contested catches, I think being stronger. I was very pleased with that part of it. And some of our young backs, I mean, we didn't give a chain a ton of reps and carries and things he did. Trying to run some of the young guys, and he's getting practice time, but I mean, the young guys, as far as their carries, getting better and better, seeing holes, seeing blocking schemes. You know, Amari and LJ and Le'Veon, those guys all, and then Ernest Crownover, those guys all being more consistent on how they see things, pass protection. So, you know, good solid scrimmage. Got a long way to go, but the effort, the attitude's been pretty good, so it's got to get more consistent in what we're trying to do. Questions?
Second row, Olin, then Brent.
Hey, Coach, I know you're now expect me to always have two questions.
You can have two. I'm just messing with you. I got to have a fun time. Don't do it now. I ain't got nothing else to gripe about. What am I going to gripe about?
So I'll start off with, do you think you will know who your starting quarterback is after the scrimmage on this weekend?
I'll wait and see. I don't know. We'll see how the scrimmage goes and what goes on. You could not. I mean, like I say, we'll wait and evaluate that as we go. I'm not putting a timetable on it.
Is there a certain amount of time, though, that at some point that you
– No, I'm not putting a timetable on it.
You could decide.
I'll know when I know.
And then I wanted to ask about a guy like, say, Bryce Foster, who for various reasons has had to miss some time. Mm-hmm. Is there any amount of time that he would have to actually start completely working to where you'd feel like, all right.
He is working right now.
So he's at a point now where he could start the
He's
first
practicing,
game.
yeah. He's practicing right now and playing well.
Down front, Brent, and then Travis and Cole.
So as young as Fadil Diggs is, he really seems like he's a good leader for those even younger
he's
guys.
A junior.
Yeah, he still seems young to me, I guess, as an underclassman, right? Eligibility-wise, as a sophomore. But
yeah,
in any case,
3 years in.
Here's what I'm trying to get to. He still seems like a good leader for all these new young guys.
Really good
and how's
leader.
that group coming along?
Really good leader. I mean, he is a guy who works, says yes sir, no sir, and what else can I do, and always helping those young guys. You know what I mean? He's a great example for them as far as how to go about your business on a daily basis, as far as work ethic, technique, toughness, battle through things. I think he's doing an excellent job. You're right. You're whoever told give you that information on what player he is, and I've said it, I know, but he is definitely a great example for how you want to play, the effort you want to play with, the physicality you want to play with, becoming a better technician, how he's rushing, he's being productive, and he's there every day. Every day. Can't say enough good things about him.
Down front, Travis.
I'll take Olin's 2 questions. So, with now that you've had some time under the camp belt, what have you seen from the rotation of the coaches, and what went into that decision to rotate those offensive coaches?
Same thing I said last week. They've all coached those positions. They've all been good, and there's some things I thought would help us in our offense and how our communication, and also not just on the coaching part. You get into scripting, you come in responsibilities you have in the staff. There's a ton of things that go into that. And what was the first part of that?
And just what have you seen? Have you liked that rotation so far?
Our guys have done a really good job. I mean, like I say, Daryl's coached everything under the sun. He's been a coordinator. He knows ball. He knows it extremely well. Very good coach, veteran coach, doing a great job with those young guys at tight end. James has been a receiver coach, was for a long time. And Damon played quarterback and coached quarterbacks for me. So he knows exactly how we want it done, been in the offense a long time. So all those guys and the aspects, it was very interchangeable in what we had to do.
So it had more to do with just giving other guys some more opportunity to do stuff,
or just, again, you got, like I said, you got scripting responsibilities, you got time responsibilities, you got, there's all kinds of things that go. We can sit there and have a list of 50. So I just thought it was what best for us to be successful.
And is there any of the injuries that would keep anybody out of the first game?
Not that I can see right now. No. I don't ever put a timetable on it, but I don't see that happening right now.
Cole, and then we'll go Daryl.
Jimbo, we often think about some of the newer guys, such as Chris and Evan at the wide receiver position, but a guy that probably continues still making noise is Yul Keith. How has he continued to transition
really
as a receiver?
Getting better, learning to play every down. Things he's done, where he's an inside guy, an outside guy. He's got great speed, athleticism. Really, when he gets the ball in space, he can really go, and he's learning how now. Running routes inside to running routes outside is a different deal. What you're avoiding, how you're reading coverages, why you're reading leverages, and he keeps getting better and better every day. Very productive.
And then when you look at the guard position to replace Kenyon, when you look at the guard position that you're trying to replace with Kenyon, what have you seen from guys like Morrow and a couple of the other guys, especially Cam?
I've been pleased with our guys up there. Moko's done a tremendous job in there. Aki's done an unbelievable job in there. Aki's playing as good as anybody. Aki is really, really talented, playing really good up front. Can play guard or tackle. Can do a lot of things. So I think he's in there. Of course, Layden's in there. Moko's done a really good job. He's getting better and better, and each of those guys have been pleased with their development.
Coach, left side, Daryl, and then to the right, David.
The trend is to ask multiple questions, so I won't let anybody else down. I did want to ask you just the importance of Saturday's scrimmage in terms of it is 2 weeks from the season opener.
Yeah, you want to clean up you want to make sure your operational skills of getting plays, getting calls, communication on the field, those types of things, man. And those are things as a coach, you keep worrying about production, but we worry about, can we get lined up right? Can we get the right calls? All the communications being made. Who's making the communications? Those types of things are getting better. Your shot clock, I say, getting plays in, not getting delays, not having self-inflicted wounds, those types, substitutions, those things I think are all very critical. And then the execution's got to go up. Then your execution goes up as the longer you're in practice, the longer you're in camp. Each scrimmage you have, it gets better, and it should. And that's those will be big things we're looking for.
Will there be another scrimmage after Saturday?
No.
Okay. And then
not a live scrimmage, not a live. We'll do we situationally scrimmage every day. What we're saying in a scrimmage, we do it every day. We may not tackle, or we're hard thudding and physical, but what we do in practice, there's different sections that go that way.
And then my last question is Walter Nolan, living up to that pedigree that you've seen so far?
Those young guys, listen, all those young guys are doing a really good job. They're working hard, playing good, and have really, really bright futures. And Walter's done a nice job.
Right side, David, and then Nicole in the back.
Jimbo, can you touch on Edge Cooper's growth? He started a little bit last year, and he came on towards the end of the season, just where he is now, leadership-wise, and just the way he plays.
Before, like I say, some of these guys, you keep saying, everybody says leadership. Leadership, you can lead by example. Well, you make sure you're doing your job before you jump in a leadership role, which he does by how hard he works, the way he plays, becoming, again, much more consistent. You have athletic plays, you have wild plays, but now he's learning to take on blockers where maybe that isn't a wild play, bounce it to somebody else to make a play. And I think that's what you got to understand. Everybody looks about how productive they are. Production for a coach and productive for the outside world is sometimes two different things. How they fit, what the responsibilities is on that play. I always want to make a tackle, but I got to fit my gap, take on the blocker, and if it spills to the safety and he makes it, or the corner, or whoever, the other backer, those are things. And I think those are things he is doing a much better job of, being that down in, down out, consistent player, not giving up gaps, not giving up things. And, of course, he can run and make his plays, we know. But what he's really learning to do is be a very good linebacker, and sometimes that's making plays. And, of course, we always want to make plays, but it's also not giving up plays and fitting so other guys can make plays. And I think, just maturity of how he's playing with much more consistency.
Go back behind the lights, Coach, to the left, Nicole.
Coach, what changes do you want to see after 2 weeks of practice going from last scrimmage to this scrimmage?
The same thing. Eliminate, making sure our substitutions are better, make sure our alignments are better, make sure our splits are better, make sure our communications are better, then our execution is better. We take care of the ball. And, sometimes you can not have a turnover, and that's been, just a bad decision. Or sometimes there is a play that, you understand what you're trying to accomplish on every play, the knowledge of our calls, and also our situational football. Listen, plays are different based off down and distance, time on the clock, field position, what the objective of every play is. And I think getting a greater grasp of that and understanding that on offense and defense. I'm not just talking about offense. I'm talking about defense. How and then what the defense is doing, what the offense is doing, our position, our formation recognition, our alignments, reading offensive splits, our defensive people, putting themselves in position to make better plays from a mental standpoint, and then finishing it out physically.
Go to the back, Ben, and then to the left, Cease.
Coach, you've talked a lot about execution, of course. I'm curious where you feel like the team is in terms of just how consistent they have been with having clean reps with a lot of players you're trying to evaluate as well, making sure you cut down
getting
on
better. We're in camp. If you've ever been in camp, you understand you're in camp. And, you have a lot of them, and sometimes you don't. But like you say, some of that does come from we're experimenting with different people in places. Some guys may not be – and putting guys – I like putting guys sometimes in a situation, I don't know if they're real. I say, well, he's not ready. Well, I said, let's find out. Only one way to find out. You know what I mean? And some guys can naturally handle that. Some guys, it takes them a while to grow. But I want guys to get feeling for how fast, move guys up with different groups. And you're with 3 guys who started. Now you're the 4th guy in there, and you got to do your job and what it's really like. And now that affects those execution things. I understand that. But we also got to try those guys and let them get a taste of it too. So we understand as coaches what the give and take is, but then before game time, I hope we get back, pure execution.
Go to the left, Cease, and to the back, Justin.
You basically had 1A, 1B at running back the last couple of years. Do you see one of those other guys coming up and getting more carries, and do you worry about possibly maybe a chain getting too many carries? Spiller got nicked up a few times the last couple of years.
I always said that, and then a guy like Dalvin, he ran them all by himself and never got nicked up. That just goes by each player. I think that goes who they are and what they are. But I feel very comfortable with putting 34. Those guys in there running, and Le'Veon too, with the ball in his hand. Those guys are doing a great job. And what they're now learning to do is much more consistent as a running back does a lot without the ball. But I don't have a problem giving those guys the ball. I think they're very talented guys, and we'll have to get reps for us, and we'll get to play.
Go to the back, Justin. To the left, Zach.
Coach, we've heard a lot, especially during media day, about the offense being more explosive, downfield passing. From your vantage point as the play caller, what goes into that in your mind, and how do you get a feeling in a game-wise when to take a shot?
Well, you got to know what's going on, what the defense is doing, what the situation of the game is, and that's just the feel you have. And also we talk about skill guys and that. Talks about protection too. Can you protect it? Can you hold it? Can you do it? How do you buy time to get those situations and shots? And there's a lot of things that go into it. You don't have enough time. I promise you to go into all that. But when you're calling plays, we know what tendencies of defense and how you're attacking a defense and what defender you're attacking. Do I have the guy I want one-on-one? Am I getting low safeties? Am I getting the corner in a one-on-one situation where I can create it, and whatever it may be. There's 100 things that goes into when you're taking shots in the game, and when you want to eat clock, when you want to be meticulous, or when you want to be explosive. I think, but it's also you have to be able to create explosive plays to get people off of you, and those are big parts of having winning and have success. And I think we're doing a better job of that in camp.
Front left, Zach, and then Cole and Brent. Y'all wrap us up.
Jimbo, pleasant surprise probably wouldn't be the right term, but has there been a guy that has really stood out to you that perhaps, I don't know, you were a little surprised by what he's been doing so far this fall, or something that's been a pleasant surprise to you?
No, there's been quite a few of them. I think a lot of our older guys, the maturity is showing. The old guys, when you stay in a program through, like you say, with Fidel Diggs and how you start, all of a sudden you start to see that maturity in him, how he talks, how he does things. Those guys that stay around now, you find out 3 years, 4 years, and maybe even 5. Lord help us if a guy had to stay 5 years in college, and play, or not play till he's a redshirt sophomore or something like that. It's amazing how how few mistakes they make and how good they play. And I think there's been, like Fidel's one. I mean, he's not play. I've seen that since spring. I mean, Ernest Crownover does a good job, comes out. I think Layden Robinson just keeps growing in what he's doing in the role he's having. I don't know he's played, but I mean, you're growing in that potential. I mean, Edrin Cooper's another one you just brought up. Damani Richardson, how he's grown being a fourth-year guy. The difference on the field and just calls, maturity, practice of influencing players. You know what I mean? You talk about all the big guys, but those guys there, even though they've been here a long time, you know what I mean? And how that time you forget because guys don't stay anymore. The ones that do, I'm not bringing back good memories. You know what I'm saying? Of going back and how maturity does make a difference in how you play and the consistency in which you play. We're so caught up now in just pure ability. But playing football, there's so many things to do and what happens. And, Max Wright, another one, who I thought had an excellent scrimmage the other day, and how he played and been around here 4 years and just knowing what to expect, man. There's so many of those guys I've been really – and like I say, some say, well, they're not superstars, but to a coach they are. What they allow you to do, and all of a sudden they make those 5-6 plays a game, and they get the ball, they don't get the ball, they break it up, I mean, just so many different avenues that way. So I think a lot of those are upperclassmen jump in that category for me, and how they keep developing with the time they're here, which comes with knowledge and experience, which is critical.
Cole, and then Brent, you wrap us up.
Coach, when you look at someone who you've coached in the past, but Damian Craig and being his former quarterback's coach, how does he benefit with these other quarterbacks on what you're trying to preach the method across and what they're looking for?
He knows what's expected, what's demanded, and also what it feels like when you're out there. I mean, you like I say, now, I mean, they can take it back when they were live in practice every day. I tell them I'm going to make them like Damian, make them like live, like it used to be back in the 90s. Them quarterbacks got hit. They weren't prima donnas no more. You know what I mean? But we threaten that on them, all right? You better learn quick. We're going to turn you, let you be live. But I mean, you're talking about a guy who's walked through it and played in games with me. And also what I think, what I thought, and how I expect things done in a game. And he's been there, you know what I mean, in those situations. So I think that's a great help for those guys.
All right, Brent, wrap us up.
Guy who's not far from here, how has Wyckoff done?
Well, there's another one I let slip out of that I should have said. Moko's done a good job, but Wyckoff, man, he's done a really good job. He's played good football. We've executed very well with him, playing center and playing guard, playing 2 different positions, and I've been really pleased. I'm glad you said that. I apologize for not saying that in that other guy who's really, I think, improved a lot in how he's playing and consistency and how maturity has helped him. Not just consistent, what to expect, how to play. I think Matthew's had a really good camp. I've been very pleased with his camp.
Got to look out for my Magnolia guys. So
exactly. No, I'm glad you brought that up. And I got to say, sometimes when you scour over, sometimes you forget 1 or 2, and I hate to say that, but I've been very pleased with his development. Cares and is really trying to be a really good player and is producing and done a good job.
So there's always so much going on, especially lately in this sport. How do you balance kind of keeping up with the latest of what's going on while also in camp, or does camp provide a refuge?
Well, which thing you talking about?
Well, yeah, you name it. Yeah, but pick
you
a
don't.
subject.
Hey, control what you can control. There's only so much time in a day, and you have other people who keep you informed on new rule changes, the new things that are going on, recruiting, what's going on, and we talk recruiting every day, things like that. But I mean, we have guys who come tap me on the shoulder and say, "Hey, this," and I take my compartmentalize, move everything else out, think about that for a while, make a decision and what we're going to do or how we're going to do it. So we have enough people in here that keeps you informed of those things. But right now you're trying to focus on our players and what that demeanor of them are, what their learning is, and put them in the best position to be successful this year.
All right. Thanks, Coach.